Barclays getting hit with a $450 million fine by U.S. and U.K. regulators. Barclays admitting that it submitted false London and Euro interbank offered rates between 2005 and 2009 to make a profit from trading positions. CEO Robert Diamond and 3 top executives passing up their bonuses as a result. Other firms being investigated by regulators include Citigroup, Deutsche Bank, and UBS.
We want to take a moment before we get into this debate over the banking issue on this. Let's explain why LIBOR, we've all heard that, or the London interbank rate, offer rate is important. I mean, sometimes it still sets mortgage rates
for some people. LIBOR plus
exactly,
something,
right. Essentially, this is an average rate set by banks each morning, and it measures how much they are going to charge each other for loans. Now, that average rate affects interest rates on everything, as we said, from home loans, auto loans, credit cards, even student debt. So it's a benchmark rate that others play off of at that point.
So is Barclays yet another example of a bank behaving badly? Have we learned anything from 2008? Joining us now is Andrew Stoltmann of Stoltmann Law Offices and Peter Sorrentino of Huntington Asset Advisors. Gentlemen, good to see you. Andrew, what do you make of this? Banks behaving badly? Have they learned anything?
No, they haven't. I mean, I feel a little bit like we're in the movie The Groundhog Day. It's the same old thing over and over, year after year after year. And
is there a solution?
I don't know if there is a solution. I think the best solution would probably be prison sentences and actual criminal indictments, because that tends to be the only thing that gets Wall Street executives' attention. Nothing else does. You're, in effect, asking the fox to guard the hen house, and we know what the fox always does.
Peter, should they go to jail?
Well, in the end, I think the banksters probably do end up having to follow Dennis Kozlowski and some others down the perp walk. So that's probably not uncalled for at this juncture. We don't like money center banks, haven't been invested in for some time. We prefer regionals and the smaller local banks.
Well, and look at what happened after we passed Sarbanes-Oxley. Look at how many accounting scandals we've had since then. We've had none. Why is that? Because we've sent CEOs of some of these companies that have been cooking the books to prison. You do the same thing with one Wall Street executive, and you will see the entire industry cleared up very, very quickly.
Gentlemen, hold on one second. We have to go to Mandy Drury, who has some breaking news on Harbinger. Mandy.
Yeah, absolutely, Michelle. Manita Ahuja, who is CNBC's hedge fund specialist, has obtained a statement from the attorney of Phil Falcone, who, of course, was once one of the hedge fund industry's most successful fund managers. So the statement is from Matthew Donson of the Donson Law Firm, who is representing Phil Falcone, and it goes on to say that this has to be the first case involving an act of supposed dishonesty in which a client simply followed the advice of his lawyer, and that the notion that Mr. Falcone committed a fraud in connection with the loan from a Harbinger fund is unsupportable. Now, they go on to say that, as the SEC well knows, and the court will soon learn, the notion propagated by the SEC that investors were harmed by any conduct is just irresponsible and also completely unsupported by any evidence. So that's the latest that we've found out so far. Back to you.
Thank you, Mandy.
Back to our guests here. Peter Sorrentino, I mean, one thing that's being discussed right now is with all the action at J.P. Morgan Chase and now this Barclays settlement and so forth, it just plays into the hands of those who want to see greater regulation of the financial services industry through Dodd-Frank. Do you agree with that?
The problem is with the greater regulation is that the laws get passed, but the actual regs don't get written for some time. And that cripples the industry. And you can't have a healthy recovery in this country with a crippled banking industry. It's just not going to work. We need to make a decision here as to what banking in this country should look like. Get to that point. If we have to go back to the old Glass-Steagall where we separate these functions, let's do it. But for the moment, we've essentially just handicapped the entire industry, and we need money center banks. We need clearly defined banks. So we need to quit this drawn-out process here and get to a final resolution of what authority is going to rule the banks, how that will be done, and let's get it over with, because bankers are afraid. They're petrified, and as a result of that, the economy is stuck, and we're going to stay stuck until it's fixed.
Why are they afraid? I mean, the banks almost melted down the global worldwide economy, but for an $800 billion taxpayer finance. There's nothing to be afraid of. Not one banking executive has gone to prison after the 2008 meltdown. meltdown. They know they can get away with it. That's why we see banks and brokerage firms engaging in this sort of activity again and again and again.
But Andrew, do you acknowledge that at some point you need a banking system, you need a healthy one, you need liquidity? I mean, when you look at the 1930s, it was because they let the banking system implode. You can hate the banks all you want, but they are, in the end, the WD-40 of the economy.
Absolutely. We need banks that do their job, but there's also a little bit of a balancing act also. When you have the banks defrauding investors, defrauding the public, demanding an $800 billion bailout, there has to be an offsetting interest in making certain they do their job right. We absolutely need a banking industry, but we need a clean banking industry, and right now, I don't think we have it.
Yeah, tough issue they're working on in Congress, but they are taking their sweet time on it, aren't they? Gentlemen, thank you both. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.